Hi, it's Michelle and John
Hi.
to talk to you today about the American election, how we elect a president. But the first question I'm going to pose is something that people in Canada are always asking myself and John, which is, why does our election process take so long? The perception is that it takes like a year and a half because other countries consider our election process to be starting when the debates start, or when that whole group of Democrats and the whole group of Republicans sort of started saying they were running. That's when people decided that the process started. But technically the process doesn't start till the 1st of June, right? Till after Memorial Day and then to Labor Day. So why does our process take longer than other countries?
Well, interestingly enough, as a young country, our electoral process was actually pretty fast, but the population complained that they didn't feel like they were involved in the process. So because of that, the primary process was developed and started getting longer, and then with the advent of TV, these primaries and debates, they make great TV. Being televised has done nothing but further elongate the process.
I mean, there's a lot of money at stake. CNN or MSNBC news anchors.
A lot of that political action money goes into campaign ads and contributions to the networks, get more time.
So the Republican process and the Democratic process to nominate a candidate are completely different. John's going to explain the Democratic process.
Well, it's interesting. The Democrats actually have the more complicated process of the two. And historically, if you go back to 1968, the Democrats basically were using only their party leaders to select the nomination. For example, Hubert Humphrey was a pro-Vietnam War politician, and they went ahead and nominated him without being involved in a single primary. And you can imagine how that played with young Democratic voters in
America in 1967.
None of them voted for Humphrey. Huge fail. So the fallout of that was that a senator from South Dakota by the name of McGovern and a Minnesota representative by the name of Frazier got together and said, well, how can we change things? And their idea was to make the primaries really important in how the nominee was selected. And that sounded great until Carter came around, and the populists, well, they nominated Carter, and Carter, as you know, was, incompetent and lost by a huge landslide. So then they went, okay, well, that didn't work. What are we going to do now? And what they came up with is basically the system we have now, where the primaries are still important, but they also have this concept of superdelegates, and they are people who are currently in Congress, they're currently seated governors that are Democratic, they're ex-Democratic presidents, and then just some general party high-ups. And they all get to vote for whoever they want to, regardless of what the primaries in their states vote for. And the thinking there is that they may know a little bit better about how the politics work than the average voter, which has the unintended side effect of they tend to vote for Washington insiders pretty consistently.
But I'm going to talk about the Republicans. The Republicans are much simpler. It's a primary or a caucus. In Minnesota, it's a caucus. The primary is paid for by the taxpayers but run by the government. And the caucus is run by the party. So John and I went to a caucus. What I found interesting in doing the research was at the beginning of the 20th century, in the early 1900s, the Democrats decided that the caucuses were anti-democratic, and that's why they helped come up with this bizarre delegate system. Now, ultimately, what my question is, John, is if the Republicans do it this way and the Democrats do it this way, how do they meet then?
Well, I think it's like a lot of the stuff in Washington between the two parties, they agree to disagree. Mm-hmm. And what ends up happening is throughout their arbitrary process, they both come up with a nomination, and then that nomination runs against the other nomination. And by that point, it doesn't matter how they got to that decision.
Could we, in America, start to have more candidates in the political process?
I think we could, but it would require, either a third party coming up to power, or it would require the existing parties to be more open to maybe not just having one single candidate that they endorse. And I don't see either of those really happening anytime soon.
Look for our next episode about the Electoral College and how we actually elect the president. This was just an explanation of how we actually get the two candidates. And as you can see, it's a bit complicated. So put your questions below.
Till next time.
Thanks.